watching this evening, because we're in the Facebook group, are either business owners, you're entrepreneurs, you're people that want to start up, or some of our clients are already doing really well and you're super successful. And wherever you're at, it doesn't really matter. But we've got to remember one thing, that when it comes to being in business, we are a salesperson. We are a salesperson for our business. And a lot of people don't like that, right? So they're a little bit concerned about selling their products or service, or they don't want to come across as a salesperson. But for every one of you that wants to get more success, and I presume that you do want to get more success and you want to get more results, and if you do, put it in the comments, you want to get more success, even with everything going on, you want 2020 to be the best year you've ever had. If you really want that and you truly want that, you need to start considering yourself as a salesperson. You've got to be able to sell. We're going to talk about the 4 things you need to sell this evening. We're going to talk about the essentials, and we're going to talk about everything. We've got some good detail to go over tonight, actually, some really good detail. This is an old presentation, and I was just looking through, because I've obviously held on sales probably near on 50 events. I've done all different types of sale events where we've talked and trained people on sales. We've run an event called Sales Domination that many of you have attended. And if you've attended that, put it in the comments, let me know. And those of you that did attend that, you'll know how deep we can go. Well, what we're going to do tonight is we're going to go over the essentials. What do you need to do to prepare yourself and acknowledge yourself as a salesperson in order to get better results? So we're going to look at the basics first of all. We're going to start off with sales professionalism. And the reason that we're going to start off with this is because these are really the good essentials. Now, not only have I been training entrepreneurs in sales for the last 4 years and training entrepreneurs by the thousands in sales, I have to remember that I've run sales-based organizations and sales-based businesses for a long time. So in my previous business, I had anything up to, at any one time, 30 different salespeople. And I was managing those sales teams, sometimes more, and really managing those teams and getting the results out of them. And when I looked at the people that were the top of their game, they had this one right. They had number one right. You had people, because this is the thing, there's a lot of myths and things people say about sales, or you've got to have a silver tongue, you've got to be, you've got to be able to be able to talk, etc., etc. And all of that, the reality is, it's not really true. There's some other principles that are even more important. And as we go over that, you're going to see this evening. But when I was training, and I've trained hundreds and hundreds, I've had hundreds of salespeople work for me. And obviously I've had a sales career myself. I started in sales when I was 18 years old. And to give you a bit of history and a bit of background, while a few more people join, when I first started out, I'll take you back to when I was like 18, 17, 18, I was working for my dad, and I was working on building sites, and I knew that I wanted more. I mean, what my dad did and what my dad has done has been really good, and all credit to him. But for me, I am probably the worst person that you will ever meet on the planet at DIY and building. You will not meet anybody that is as bad as me at that. Like, literally, I'm terrible. I can't even put a cupboard together, right? That is where I do not thrive. So if you want to take me outside of my comfort zone, you give me a big box from IKEA and tell me to put it together. That is not my comfort zone. So I was working doing that. And, I just remember back then sitting on the stairs and just trying to avoid getting out of any work I could, because I hated it. And this was my first real experience of trying to build up a work ethic. And I realized that you're going to work a lot harder in life if you love what you do. Okay. And if you love what you do, it's not going to feel like work, and you actually love it. And that's where I think I discovered that. And at the time, a friend of mine, his name was Andy, had got a job at an organization called Powerhouse, and it was selling retail units, TVs, and selling washing machines and things like that. And he got me an interview, and I went over to the interview, and lo and behold, I actually got the job. And I went on over the 2 or 3 years that I worked in that organization to win an accolade of most commission per hour in the entire country for selling TVs and washing machines. And that was kind of the beginning of my sales career. Then I moved over to Ford. I trained under some amazing people. and I got a lot of help there. And then I trained under some amazing people within BMW, and I also did cold calling for leasing private jets for AMSAir. So I did all these different things in the sales career before I even started my own business, and they're massive for me. They made a really, really, really big difference along the line, along that journey. And then, of course, I built my business up into the millions and millions on my own initially, and then built sales teams to continue to do that. And now we still, obviously, we do a lot of sales based in what we do now. And the people that are really, really good at sales are the people, for me, that are organized. They're the people that keep good records. They're the people that they prepare correctly for appointments. They always look to streamline the client experience. How can we make it easier for the client to say yes? They call people back whenever you've got an opportunity. You need to be calling people back, and these are real basics. And another thing with the top people that I trained, they were always able to manage their personal circumstances. You know, you can have a bad day, you can have things going on, you can not be in the mood for it, you can not want to do it. But when it comes to actually having a sales call and a sales-based situation, you need to be able to literally put whatever's going on in your life over there and focus in the moment. And for me, these are small professionalism basics, but whenever you are selling a product or a service, your focus needs to be on the client that you're selling that products and service to. You want to get rid of distractions and truly focus. Because if you truly focus, you know, that one thing alone is going to mean a lot to the client that you're actually selling your products or services to. And as you focus, they're going to realize that you're somebody that is professional, and people really are working off that first impression that they're going to want to actually do business with you. You know, and the other basics are be on time. If you say you're going to do something at a certain time, make sure you do it. And if you start to get these basics in play as we build forward, you're going to start to see a lot better results. I mean, going back to that story, for me, what really drove me was sales. When I was first working in Powerhouse, and I'd come out and I'd working in building, and I was in this terrible situation building where I hated it, to moving into something that I knew nothing about. I kind of got this opportunity to go and earn commission, and the first thing I learned was the more people that I see, the more money I earn, and this is another sales basic that I think everybody really needs to acknowledge and take in place. And many of you heard me say before, more conversations equal more leads, equal more opportunities, equal more sales. You've heard me say that, right? Or you've heard me say at least more conversations. If you ever heard me do anything, you'll hear me talking about having more conversations with people leads you to get more business and leads you to get more results. If you heard me say that before, put in the comments more conversations, put that in there so you can, you know, and what I'm trying to do is get people to acknowledge that, you know, whenever you're selling something to a client, if that's the only client that you're going to speak to, you know, you can kind of sense the desperation in the person. But if you're continually active and you're talking to more people and you're having more conversations with people, you're always building that pipeline for your business. You're always building sales opportunities for your business. And that in turn is going to mean that you're busy. So one of the things that I'll put on this basics list is have more conversations. The more conversations you have, the more sales that you're going to get. So we start to manage the very basics. So be on time for your appointments, be on time for your phone calls, be on time for your Zoom calls at the minute. If you can look smart, I've gone with a hoodie tonight, but in general, if you can look smart, manage your personal circumstances, put your emotions, put your need for the sale, put your need for the income, put your need for the deal, whatever it is, to one side. And instead of focusing on what you want, start focus on what the client wants. What is the client's objective? What helps the client to win? And that in turn is going to get you the business a lot more if you can put yourself out of the situation and truly focus on your client. Make sure you call people back. Always look to improve that client experience, streamline it, prepare for those appointments, keep good records, be super organized, and keep good inquiry records. So this is another thing. Is, you know, I can tell the measure of, like, so when I training a salesperson, and bear in mind, like I said, there'll probably be a few people in the group, people like Nick, Giorgio might be on live tonight. I haven't looked who's on yet. I will in a minute before I come to the next part. But I used to prepare those teams in a way that at any single given time, I'll be able to look at the inquiries they've got. I'll be able to look at the amount of calls they've made. I'll be able to look at the amount of sales they've made. And the people that kept good records and that went back to people with very, very regular and were very, very organized, always outsold the smooth talkers or the people that are really, really good with the clients. It was the people that kept good records and that followed up that always got the business. So we've got to keep that in mind and make sure that we're doing that on a regular basis. So before we get into number 2, we've got Joseph's watching. Joseph, who's loves sales. How you doing, Joe? You're a good, my man. Pete Leyland saying we're live. That's good stuff. We've got Nikki's watching. Chris is watching. Stephanie saying sales dom, the weekend that broke me as a person. Yeah, I mean, what we're talking about tonight, so I'm going to be really clear, is I'm giving you the sales basics, the sales essentials. We train people at a level of sales where we do get into the psychological selling, we get into the seed planting. We really show people how to, sell to groups, all those different things at a more advanced level. But for everyone in the group tonight, what I wanted to do is give you some good content on sales, get you focused, get you in a place where you start to think more as a salesperson. I think the first thing you've got to acknowledge, if we want to make a change in you and we want to make a change in your results and we want to make a change in your attitude, the first thing that we've got to do is we've got to get you to consider yourself a salesperson. I promise you, making that consideration and making that switch will make you more successful in business no matter what you do, right? I promise you that. So it's very, very important. And Stephanie, is another story. I always remember, I'll never forget, we did sales domination. We rented out this beautiful property in Hertfordshire. And I took about 15 of my clients over to this beautiful Hertfordshire mansion. It was a 7-bedroom mansion. It was beautiful. And it had this big downstairs area. And literally you walk down the stairs and as it opened up, it was probably about a 2,000 square foot room, basement room with a probably like 120-inch projector screen. It was massive. And we literally, we got the people, including Stephanie and everybody else, to sell me their product and their service, and I would be the client, and then in turn I would then work with them and I'll sell that product back to them. And what we did is we rewatched on that massive screen the whole interactions and picked it apart point by point. And actually Stephanie, who said she hated sales, she was one of those people that hated sales, actually went on to really become quite very good at it, and changed her mindset. And now I see her doing Instagram stories and selling her products non-stop all the time and building relationships with clients and really overcoming those sales hurdles. So for anybody that feels that they're not a salesperson, anybody feels they can't do it, the reality is you can change your mentality. And if you change your mentality in this area, your results are going to start to increase in a big, 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 big way. So Sanel's watching, Christian's watching, how you doing? We've got Alison saying, how do you explain your price, what's charged? So we'll come to that in a moment. We've got Christina watching, Kushan watching. We've got Alison saying hello, Claire saying hello, how you doing, Claire? We've got Alana, more conversations. So we've got Nikki saying that. We've got Kevin, how you doing, Kevin? Hope you're well. We've got Palm watching as well. Palm's another one that was on that sales domination a retreat event we did. So, tell us your experience on that, Palm. We've got Chris saying evening, and Sarah saying she's happy with sales, and Becky saying hello, everyone. So it's great to see so many of you watching this evening. Okay, so the next thing that we want to come to is actually that mindset of sales, right? Okay, the mindset of sales. And you have to have a sales mindset. I'll give you a basic, is that one of the basics that I've done since my days. So when I go back to Ford, this is the thing, in all of my career, I've learned different things in terms of sales, and I've continued advancing in sales in different ways and being able to sell to different people in different size groups. So, selling something to someone one-on-one and then selling to, 250, I think we had 295 people at the end of the webinar the other day, and talking to those people and, being able to talk to people in groups is very, very different from actually talking to people on a one-on-one basis. But you've got to have that mindset. You've got to have the mindset in place to really make sure that you master sales, and you want to master sales. This is something you do want to master, and let me tell you why. It's because your results are going to go up massively. So back when I was at Ford, I really got into diarising and making sure that I diarised all opportunities. And that's another good tip for you, is you want to be diarising all your sales opportunities. There should be a section in your diary, whether you use an online diary, whether you use a normal diary, that every single day that you look at what are your sales opportunities, and you are going back to those people and you're talking to those people on a daily basis. Very, very important. Okay. And that's something that I learned when I was at Ford. I was trained by a guy called Ian from a company called Martech. It was amazing back then, you know, like really, really helped me get to a different level. So it was really good. Look, the best salespeople are driven. They are driven. So you want to kind of ignite that drive inside you and ignite the drive to go out there and sell. And the best salespeople also avoid procrastination. And this is the thing: if you've got an opportunity and you've got an opportunity in front of you, the sooner and the quicker that you go back to that opportunity, the sooner and the quicker you're going to get somebody to say yes to you, or you're going to say no to you. Now, what I find is a lot of people are afraid of someone saying no to you. But actually, I prefer someone said no to me, and I prefer they say no to me quickly, because the reality is if they say to me no quickly, then straight away I'm going to be on to the next person, or I'm going to at least find out why that person said no. And I'm going to be able to, if I want to, talk that person around on why they should be doing what it is that you're offering or whatever product you're selling. But you want to avoid that procrastination in sales. You want to do things quickly. You want to get it moving quickly. And whenever you've got something, you've got an opportunity, you should go back to that opportunity as quickly as you possibly can in order to capitalize on it. And of course, keep people updated. The next thing is, for every no, you're one closer to a yes, something that I've also said before. It's another thing that I learned many, many, many years ago, and that comes back to having more conversations. You want to go out there, and I've actually challenged people to go out there and get 100 people to say no to them, because I know if they get 100 people to say no to them, that they're also going to get 10 people that say yes to them, because people forget that sales is a complete numbers game, and the more people you speak to, the more opportunities you're going to get. And let's say you do go out and you speak to 100 people and you go and offer your product or your service to 100 people. I know that you're going to create sales off the back of that 100 of the 100 people that you've offered your product or service to. And if you actually go and do it. So it's a challenge that I've given many people before, especially people that are sales shy. Say you've got this person that's really shy at sales, and we actually get that person to go out and speak to 100 people and 100 people about their product or service, offer that product and service. What are they going to learn from it? What they're going to learn is what the client's objections are, why the clients are saying no, what it is they can do to turn those objections around, whether their price point or their value points are wrong, and they're going to learn the whole interaction. They're going to be able to adapt, and they're going to be able to then convert that into sales. So you've got to understand it's very, very important. The more no's you get, the closer you are to a yes. And then we've also got to understand that every no is not a no. Every no is a not yet. Okay. And if we get that in place, of the 100 people that you go and talk to, the 100 people you go and talk to, if 100 say no, they're not actually saying no, they're saying not yet, which means they may well, in a week's time, you're going to get 3 or 4 come back to you. In another week's time, you're going to get 3 or 4 come back to you. In another week's time, you're going to get 3 or 4 come back to you, and then you're going to build from there. So we've got to remember, it's all about pipeline. The best salespeople do not get concerned about rejection. The best salespeople, rejection does not exist for them. And that's kind of where you've got to get into. You've got to get that into your mentality. I've worked with some amazing people, and they just do not, they physically do not let rejection phase them. The top people do not let rejection phase them. It doesn't bother me at all. Somebody says no, it's like, okay, well, fine, you missed out. That is the mentality that you've got to have. If somebody says no to your product or service, or somebody doesn't go and buy your product or service, who was lost? It's not you as the business, it's the person that didn't buy your product or service because they missed out on the opportunity of getting the content or the information or the service or the product or the thing that they needed. And when you get that into your mindset, you're going to have a different confidence, you're going to have a different conviction, and you're going to be able to go out there and offer things in a much, much, much better way. So the next thing to say is never, ever, ever, ever prejudge people. Your biggest clients are going to be the people you don't expect them to be. One of the things that I banned and I hated when I was training sales teams is that anybody says they're a waste of time. Nobody in my organization is allowed to say that, right? Because no one is a waste of time, because every person is a person, right? And every lead is a person. And if we look after those people, they're going to either, let's say they can't buy a product or service, they can't afford it, they're not in the position to buy it. It's still not a waste of time, because you actually working with that person, helping that person, talking to that person helps you to build a relationship that they might go and refer you, your best client you've ever had. They might come back to you in a position that they weren't in 6 months' time and become your biggest client because you treated them with respect. So never, ever prejudge anybody at all. And the other thing for really mastering your sales mindset is to completely get rid of distractions. Get rid of distractions that are going on around you. If anything's going to be interrupting you, get rid of those distractions, phones, other things going on, emotional problems. You've got to get rid of them. And the final thing is, don't focus on the competition. You don't want to focus on your competition. You only want to focus on you. It doesn't matter what your competitor's selling. It doesn't matter what the person sitting next to you is selling. And I learned this from a guy that would then go on, actually, he kind of helped and mentored me when I was working at Ford. And his name was Terry. And he actually went on to become a sales director for me in a different company. And literally, we were all lined up. If you just imagine, we were lined up in a row, and they very cleverly lined us up in a row of 12 different salespeople in a row. And during that point, what you'd see is like people doing deals and people like, yeah, fantastic, I've done this deal, or people with clients. And where the salespeople that were a bit weaker would go wrong is they'll be focused on what's going on over there. Are they doing that deal? What's happening? Blah, 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 blah. And the individual that I never did that was Terry. Terry would just sit there with his head down and focus on his work completely. He'd always focus on himself. He'd always focus on his own numbers. And by focusing on his own numbers and by focusing on himself, no matter what was going on, he was always able to move forward. And that's why Terry was always one of the top people until he met me, right? But literally, he was always up there because he always had that extreme focus. If you focus on your competition and you look at what's going on around you and you look at who's doing this and who's doing that, well, all you're ever going to do is you're only ever going to be able to be as good as them. But when you focus on yourself, you can be as good as you want to be. And if you want to be great, you have to focus on yourself. So let's have a quick look at these comments, see how we're doing. So Debbie's saying hello. We've got Becky saying hello. We've got Kushan saying very, very true. I mean, Kushan asked the question about the people with the biggest budgets win. And I'll say, no, it's the people with the best work ethic and the people with the most focus are the people that win. All right. If you have the focus and you have the work ethic, you'll be the one that wins. You'll be the one that gets results. So make sure you do that. Make sure you focus, everybody. So hopefully you can, I don't know whether I wonder if the screen is actually changing for you. I don't know whether you can actually see my slides, everybody, or not. Hopefully you can. Christina's saying taking notes. You're not actually seeing my screen share, so I'm just going to move that around for you very, very quickly, and hopefully then you'll be able to see that. So bear with me one sec. You're going to see me full screen for a minute. How's everybody doing? Put in the comments. Tell me what's been happening. Tell me how you're getting on and whether you've been doing well with your businesses and things are going good. I'm really keen. So hopefully now you should be able to see slide 2. So if you can see slide 2 for me, just put it in the comments and let me know. It'd be really good to know that you can actually see that, because of some of these slides I've been talking through. You can't, you can now, I believe you can now. So Sunil's saying you can. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back one, and then you'll be able to see slide 1, which was the sales professionalism basics. Okay. So if you can see the professionalism basics, you can obviously get a chance to jot those down, any of those ones, and then you can obviously see slide number 2. We're going to get on to slide number 3 now. Before I do that, put it in the comments. Tell us what you're going to do, what you're going to implement. You know, who's up for actually taking my 100 contact challenge, where you go out and you contact 100 people and you go and offer 100 people your products and services, and you be relentless. For those of you that are up for that, put in the comments, comment for me, yes, you're going to do it, or comment 100, and then I'll know that you're going to take this seriously. You're going to go out there, you're going to put it in place, and you're going to master it, everybody, which is what I want for you. I want to see you all getting bigger results and better information. Better results from the information you get this evening. Okay, so look, I'm going to give you some tips on time. Okay, I'm going to give you some tips here on time and being time efficient when it comes to sales. You've always got to work on your hot leads first. Okay, whenever you've got somebody that is hot and somebody that's super interested in your products and services, you have to focus and go back to them immediately. Okay, absolutely imperative. Now, what some people do is they know someone's hot. And because they know they're hot, they're like, oh, well, I'll go back to them later and I'll work on these other ones. But what happens when you do that? You allow your hot leads to cool down. And you don't want to be doing that. You want to stay on top of your hot leads. You want to get the business closed before you move on to your warmer inquiries. And whatever warm inquiries you've got, then you start warming them up to get them to the point that they're hot and go back to them immediately. Then you start to visit your cold inquiries or new inquiries that have come in or older inquiries that you've got to follow up. That is the process. We've got to essentially make sure that we never, ever, ever let a hot lead cool down. We want to stay focused on our hot leads. And if we stay focused on our hot leads, I can promise you your sales are going to start to go up, your results are going to start to go up, and things are going to start to move along a lot quicker for you. This is another thing that can help you be success. Vary your times of your follow-up calls. You know, if somebody can't speak to you in the morning, you want to start doing calls in the evenings. You can start calling people a bit later on if they're going to answer. I remember I had one guy that worked for me, a guy called Chris, and Chris was working for me when we were doing we were doing quite well in sales. Probably about, I can't remember what year or what it was. We were doing probably about 6 million in sales, and we had a sales team of about 8 people. And Chris himself was probably accounting out of those people for probably 30% of the overall sales, because he was that good. But actually, it wasn't even that he was that good. But the one thing that he was doing is he was staying in the evenings and making all the phone calls in the evenings when everyone had gone home. So therefore, what he was doing was able to get hold of more people, talk to more people, have more relationships, do better follow-ups. So by the time the people come in the morning, Chris had done 2 or 3 more deals, because then he'd gone ahead. So you want to vary up the times that you speak to people. You want to vary up the times that you follow up people. It can make a big difference on your sales. Another thing that you might have heard me say, and this is the one I'll say, actually doing the 100 contact challenge will be challenging for some of you. But if you're an A player, you do it. Okay, who's an A player? Put in the comments if you're an A player. An A player, just so you know, is somebody that goes all in, that makes things happen, you know, that's super relentless and gets great results. If you're an A player, put it in the comments that you're an A player if you really are. If you're a B player, you do get good results, but you dabble a little bit, you don't follow things through, you put B player in the comments. And if you're a C player, you're like, oh my God, I'm not getting anything done, I'm stuck, put C player, right? Because then we'll work you up to B and then an A. So this is what the A player should do. Go in your diary, whether it is your calendar diary, whether it is a written diary, whatever it is you've got, and plan out at least 3 hours a day going after new business, okay? 3 hours a day going after new business, especially if you're a new business. If you're a new business, you should be doing that more than 3 hours a day, but you want to be looking at least 3 hours every single day going after new business. That's making follow-ups, it's making calls, it's working on your hot leads, working on your warm leads, working on those inquiries. You want to be making sure that you're completely focused on that, okay? So number 4, and this is if you're going to be a really great salesperson, you want to work on how can you wow your clients? How can you create wow moments for your clients? Because if you wow your clients, they will start to provide you with lots and lots of referrals and lots of repeat business. Now, let me tell you, okay, that you do not overlook this, okay? This is one that most people that talk about sales, or most people that have been in sales, don't focus on enough. You've got to look for how do you create a wow moment for your client. If you wow a client and you do something that a client didn't expect, and you help them in a way that didn't expect, you're going to build up that loyalty with your clients. And what that in turn turns into is you getting those repeat business, means they come back and they buy from you again and again and again, and meaning you get more and more referrals. That's something you really want to focus on. So what have you got in place to wow your clients? What have you got in place to make sure they're really happy? And a wow moment is when somebody says wow. Those of you that have heard me talk about wow, seems like I've not talked about this for a long time, right? A long time, because we've been focused on lots of other things at the moment in terms of social media, building the home-based business, a coaching-based business, all of these things. But we can't forget the wow. How do you wow the clients? How do you give them something they can't expect? If you look after your clients, they will look after you. They'll look after your business. They'll look after your relationships, and they'll make sure that your bottom line is looked after as well, because they'll be constantly introducing you to new clients on an ongoing basis. That's super important as well. Right, okay, so we've got Chris saying we're still on slide number 2. So bear with me 1 second. Let's see. When we're live streaming through Zoom, sometimes it kind of sticks a little bit. Let's just see if we can get that done. So let's stop sharing my screen, everybody. Whilst I'm doing this, you can all tell me in the comments what you're going to put in place. What is it that you're going to put in place? So put that in the comments now while we're just having this little technical. There we go. Thank you, Chris. We've got that going. So let's see. So we're going from number 4 to number 5. Is about maximizing the leads. Okay. Maximization of leads is another important sales essential for people that want to become better at sales. We've got to log all the inquiries, and that means every single inquiry that you get, you want to make sure that you log that, and you want to find a place to log that and put that in place. So whether that means you have a diary, whether you have an Excel spreadsheet, you need to make sure that you've got a sales log that you work to on an ongoing basis. Okay, you need to make sure that you go to your clients in different ways, you contact them in different ways. So you've got to look at mobile, you've got to look at landline, you've got to look at text, you've got to look at email, you've got to look at LinkedIn, you've got to look at Twitter and email. If somebody doesn't answer the phone to you, i.e. a mobile phone, well, send them a message on Facebook. If they don't answer a Facebook message, send them a message on LinkedIn. You've now got all these different methods and channels where you can contact people. So you've got to start using those and put those in place. I think those slides are not coming up. So what I'll do is I'll just go back to number 1 and I'll leave it on that. And then what we'll do is I will make sure if anybody wants the slides, we can get them sent out. It's just not a problem. Okay, so where are we? Full of technical errors tonight, but never mind. I'm just going to leave it. It probably stay on this one. And if it stays on this one, that's fine, right? Okay, so we're on number 5. We've got to maximize those leads. When it comes to maximizing the leads, what I mean is you've got to get into the position where if somebody doesn't answer you, don't get contact with them. You've got to look at how else can you contact them. And this is important because every person has a preferred method of contact. Some of you might hate answering the phone. So you might find it really, really difficult for people to like ring you because you're busy, you're doing things, but you might be on WhatsApp all day. Now, if that's the case and you're one of those people, then you want to make sure that and rather than ringing that person, you'll send them a WhatsApp because that way you're going to get the responses. So you've always got to be chasing. You've always got to be relentless. One of the questions I get about sales all the time is, oh, I don't want to follow them up. I don't want to follow people up because it's awkward if they don't answer me and all that. That's your fear, right? That's your fear stopping you from getting the results. You have to follow people up until they tell you, look, can you stop following me up? I'm not interested. Okay. If that person is, if that person's not comfortable having a direct conversation with you, it's because you're not comfortable having a direct conversation with them. If you get to the point where you can have a direct conversation, say, look, we spoke about this, you need it. Are we going to go ahead and get it all set up or are we not? And they're like, oh, okay, well, actually, to be honest, I can't do it at the moment. No problem at all. You've got to just keep following people up until you get to the point where you know whether they're going to be moving ahead with you or not. I think that's really, really important. A lot of people don't follow up and a lot of people get worried about following up or worried about bugging people. This is where you've got to be. You've got to believe in your product or your service so much that you think the person would be crazy not to buy it. And if you get that mindset on point that someone would have to be crazy not to buy your product or service, then you're going to follow them up and you're going to be relentless. And this is where you've got to get to. You have to be relentless as a business owner and a salesperson, because the reality is if you're not, they just end up going and buying off somebody else. And if they go and buy somebody else, you've lost the business and you've lost the opportunity to help the client. So we've got to make sure we focus on that. We've got to be persistent, all right? Persistence really comes from you having that internal confidence. You know how good your product is. You know it will be a disservice to your client if you're not persistent. That's kind of the mentality that you want to get around your product or service. If you don't have that mentality around your product or service right now, perhaps we need to put some focus into improving our product or service. But if you know what you do is great quality and you know what you do helps people and you know what you do solves people's problems or it helps people with a service that they need, then it's up to you to be persistent. It's super important. You've got to make sure you do that. So those of you that know you've got top quality, put top quality in the comments, let me know. And if you have, then I want to make sure that you've got that persistence. If a client's saying no to you, you also need to be able to ask the question, why? And it's important to find out why. And why is this important? Because if they're saying no to you for a reason, other people are going to say no to you for a reason as well. And if you can find out what that reason is, you can start to address that, and you can start to do a much better job of handling those objections in the future. So always find out why somebody says no to you. I think that's really, really important. And then what we can do is start focusing on how do we turn those no's into yeses. If we can turn those no's into yeses, we're going to get much better results. That was number 6, persistence. Right, number 7, because you're not seeing the slides now, which is fine. Number 7 is, it doesn't really matter anyway. This is the thing. Focus on the words, write the notes down, equally important, if not more important. Number 7 is you've got to master relationships. Before we get into relationships, that's what Liam's on. How you doing? So Liam's super, what he does, saying top quality. Chris is saying top quality. Becky's saying top quality. Good stuff. Well, I'm really pleased to hear it. Got to believe in that product or service. Okay, number 7, we got to master relationships. When you care about your clients, okay, and you actually physically care about your clients, and you can care about your client's success, and you care about your client's results, that empathy is going to transfer across to them. And they're going to believe in you. They're going to want to work with you more. And guess what they're going to do is when you build a relationship with someone, we start to build up that reciprocation where you do so much for somebody, you help them in such a way that it changes their results or it helps them with a product or service. They are going to want to introduce you to everyone they know. They're going to want to promote you. They're going to want to tell people about you. They're going to want to share your stuff. They're going to want to follow you. And this is what I talk about. If you want to start to get more success in today's world, you need to be more successful online. If you want to be more successful online, then we need to start building those relationships online. And we need to build our relationships at every single level. You know, every single person that comes on and every single person that comes on one of our lives, I always go back and I comment back and I say hello to people and I call people out and talk to people because I want to build the relationships with those people. And even though that's at a small level, as that moves forward and they start to buy your products or they start to buy your services, you've got to build that relationship even more. Once you get the rapport with a client, it is going to be much, much easier for them to get to buy another product or another service off you. It's going to happen to you again and again and again. And this is the reality. I want to say this. You only need 10 good clients to build a brilliant business. That is all you need. You need 10 good clients to build a brilliant business. And if you get 10 good clients, you can work through those clients and those 10 can turn into 50. And this is the thing, another thing that I've kind of challenged people to do in the past. And I'll challenge you to do it now. Write down what are your top 2 or 3 relationships that you've got right now in business. What are your top 2 or 3 relationships that you've got in business right now? Business relationships that make you money, that have bought you products or services, or they're clients that just a general joy to deal with. They're people you love working with. Who are those top 2 or 3 people? Because if you look at that relationship, if you start to multiply those people and turn those 2, if you instead of just having 2 or 3 of them, you get 10 of them, they're going to introduce you to 10 people like them. I hear a lot of people moan about, oh, I just don't get the right type of clients, or I don't get top quality clients. And the reason being is you haven't got a deep enough relationship with the existing clients you have got. And the best way to deepen your relationship with your existing clients is to care about their results. If you start caring about your clients' results and you start helping them to get results, that is the quickest way that you can build trust with people, because they'll know, they can see you care. And then once they see you care, they're going to start to really buy into you and buy into what you do. And that's how you turn a follower or a client into a fan. If you turn a client into a fan, you know, that fan is going to go and talk about you. They're going to tell people about you. And that's going to start to bring you more people. It's going to build your profile. It's going to build your reputation. It's going to build your results. So if you're not doing this, like I've seen this so many times, I've seen so many businesses and so many business owners, right? So many, I've trained so many. So anybody who's been coached directly by me, and when I talk, i.e. that have been coached directly for a period of time. So if I look at the people that I've done a lot of one-on-one coaching with, I look at people like Palm, I look at people like Gary Das, Cam, all of those people, Dan Bartle, lots of different people, even Steph is in there. You would have heard me say this before, that if we master relationships and we care about people and we really build relationships with them, then those people will become clients for life. What you've really got to start looking at is lifetime value rather than kind of one purchase value. Somebody buys something off you once, well, that's fine, but that doesn't really, that's not, you're not going to build a business off that. It's when somebody that buys something off you, you know, have you got clients that have bought 10, 15, 20 times off you? If you've got clients that have bought 10, 15, 20 times off you, I can truly say that you are caring about your clients and you're doing a great job for them, because that means to me that you've shown them the value, because they want to come back to you again and again and again and again. And I think that that's where you want to get to. You want to get to that point where your clients want to continue buying your products and services because you've done such a great job for them. And really, for me, mastering relationships, caring about people is very, very important. And that includes going over and above and making sure that you go back to people. Now, I do understand that some people have unrealistic expectations. And I do understand that some people, you know, will call you all time. I mean, this is the thing about Cam, right? Cam's been with me. I've been coaching Cam directly for 4 years. And he probably texts me most nights at midnight. I still go back to him. Do you know what I mean? Even if I'm in bed, I will still go back to him, because I think that that's important to go over and above. And this is the thing. Some of you can go, well, you know, I don't really want to do that, or I don't really want to put that effort in, or whatever. But this is the reality. How badly do you want success? How badly do you want it? Right? Because this is what it takes. This is what it takes to be successful. This is what it takes to create great relationships. It is to go over and above. It's to make more effort where other people are not going to make that effort, you know. And if you start doing that, then let's say Cam goes and gets coached by somebody else, right? Cam goes and gets coaching one-on-one with somebody else, and he texts him at midnight, and there's not a million years no one's texting him back, right? And for me, we've obviously got thousands of clients now. And it's not a case of, I'm not looking for any one-on-one coaching clients, but he knows he has that level of service. If he goes anywhere else, he ain't getting that level of service. That's the reality, right? And that is where you want to be at with your clients. And a lot of people say, oh, they give a great service. Do they really? You know, how far over and above are they going? How much effort they put into a relationship? How much are they there for their clients? I can tell you totally that up to my first £1 million in revenue, and I'm telling you now, straight up, first £1 million in revenue in my first business was purely down to relationships. First £1 million. You know, I could tell you the 10 clients that helped me build that first £1 million. And literally, you know, people like a guy called Nick Paulson. It was one of my really, really good clients. He opened up a floor of stockbrokers. 50 of them were buying vehicles off me. And he opened up the whole thing. Why? Because anytime he needed something, I was there. If he wanted a car delivered, I delivered it personally, right? If he wanted delivered at midnight, I did it personally, right? So it's mastering relationships and going over and above, especially in the beginning, right? This is what you've got in the beginning, which most people don't realize, and most people don't capitalize on. In the beginning, you as a business owner, as the startup of a business, you have got time, right? And you've got time to invest in the people that you've got. And you should be investing at the beginning in those people in a huge way. If you invest in the beginning in a huge way in the relationships, I promise you that will take care of the growth of your business, and people will stay with you for a long time. Okay, so master relationships, number 7. Number 8 is you've got to identify client needs. You've got to identify what is it your clients need, what is it your clients want, okay? And when you identify those clients' needs and wants, that's when we come into the upselling, downselling, cross-selling opportunities that some of you have heard me talk about before. You can identify what is it that people need. So, for example, we've just done the how to build a coaching-based business, and we've done the home-based business, which is essentially, it leads on to us working with clients to go out and build businesses based from home in the education industry, the coaching industry. Why have we done that? Is it by accident? No. It's because we identified our clients' needs. More and more people want to become coaches. More and more people want to earn 6 figures, 7 figures without having to have a boss, or without having to manage 100 staff, and without having the aggro of having to buy lots of stock. More people want it, right? So as we've identified that need and we've been asked for it time and time and time again, that's why we come up with a product that fits those clients' needs. Is it any surprise that that product has pretty much sold out immediately? No, because our clients need it and they want it. So you've got to identify what are your clients' needs, what do they want? You know, even in the most difficult time in history, pretty much, or in recent history, which is like where we're at right now, people will still buy your products and services if it is what they need, if it is what they want. So as long as you build your products around what people want and need, they will buy it, and you don't even have to oversell it because they want it anyway, right? So if we identify our clients' needs, that's going to be a really, really good thing for us to do, and it's going to start to get us better results very quickly. Right, number 9, we've got to understand there's 4 things that we need to sell. 4 things we need to sell. 4 things that we need to be able to sell, right? And we need to be able to sell effectively. So when it comes to, and a lot of what I've been talking about so far is the mindset, the psychology, the different actions, the attitude, the things you need to do. But when it comes to being able to talk and present and communicate why people should buy from you, there's 4 things you need to sell. You need to be able to sell yourself is number 1. And a lot of people struggle with that. A lot of people struggle with the fact that you need to be able to sell yourself. But you do need to be able to sell yourself. Why you? Why would I buy your product or service? What is it that why shouldn't I buy someone else's product or service? If somebody asks you that question, you need to be able to tell them categorically why they should buy from you. And you need to be able to sell yourself. That's really, really important. The next thing is you need to be able to sell your company. Whatever your company is, whatever it's done, okay, whatever the attributes of that company are, you need to be able to sell your company. That is super important as well. And when I talk about branding with everyone and becoming an award-winning business and becoming a business that's featured in magazines and getting credibility and having great success stories for your company and having video testimonials and having people shouting from the rooftops about what you've done for them, right? That's why you need those things, because you need it to be able to sell your company and the reasons people should do business with you. You also need to be able to sell your product, okay? So this is 3 different things. Sell yourself, sell the company, sell your product. You need to be able to sell your product. That's super important. You need to understand what is it your product does for somebody. And this is the thing. Stop selling, right? Stop selling people say, oh, features and benefits. You hear that like right in the most basic sales training ever. But I want you to forget all that, and I want you to start selling results, right? If you start selling results, then your results are going to go up. What result does your product or service get somebody? Some of you are like, what do you mean, Adam, right? And I know Stephanie was on earlier. I haven't looked who's on. I'll look in a minute. But, if Stephanie sells personalized items for people's weddings, and they're going to go and get a dressing gown with their name on it when they come to the wedding, and it's personalized and it feels special, the result of that product is a wow moment for your wedding. What's going to be like when your bridesmaids' faces, when you give them all a personalized dressing gown, they're going to be over the moon. It's going to add, a level of kind of organization to your wedding. It's going to make it amazing. People are going to be super happy. They're going to remember that moment. They're going to have a keepsake that they can keep after the wedding. It shows that you care about the other people. You're selling the result of it, right? So once you start selling results, the game changes. So with your product, what result does it get people? So if you're with me, in the comments, put results, everybody. Stick it in there. So let's have a quick look here. And Stephanie's saying completely relate. Sue saying, I took phone calls on holiday. You did take a phone call from me on holiday, actually. That's true, which is going over and above. Well done to you. And I think it is really, really important. So put results in the comments. Next thing we need to do is we've got to be able to sell the deal, okay? So we need to be able to sell ourselves. You can't get away from that. Even if you want to get away from it, even if you want to come out of it and not sell yourself and like, oh, I don't really like talking about myself, or I don't really want to tell people why they should deal with me. I don't want to do that. You still got to do it. You've got to get used to that, because that when you start being able to sell yourself, that is some of the most powerful part of influence that you can create. You've got to be able to sell your company, as we've discussed, and you've got to be able to sell the product. But then finally, you've got to be able to sell the deal. What is the value that you provide somebody when they pay you for your product or service? What is the actual deal? Why does it make logical financial sense for somebody to buy your product or service? Okay. So it depends on what you're selling, but it works in everything, and you need to be able to turn around and say something. So for example, we were doing we just did a webinar on social media, and we're going to work with 10 people to build their brands up and get them to dominate their industry on social media. So the value of that deal, let's say the price of that to work and building your brand up is £3,000, right? Which is next to nothing, right? For that. And why is it next to nothing? You say, well, actually £3,000 is a lot of money. Well, it isn't, because those people, what's it going to cost them to not do it? It's going to cost them the next 6 months, 12 months, maybe 2 years, maybe 3 years, maybe even 4 years, trying to figure out how to use social media in the right way, trying to beat their competitors, not knowing what to post, getting frustrated, not getting clients. And let's say they spend 2 hours a day on it every day, right? Which means they're going to spend 14 hours a week on it. Even if they were only paying themselves £10 an hour, right? That amount of money that they're losing every single week by not doing it is more than actually just doing it and getting on with it and making it happen, right? And you can say that in multiple different ways. And that's why coaching and education for me is very easy sell. Because if somebody's already done something that you want to do and somebody's already walked that path, you have two choices. You can either try to walk that path yourself, try to figure it out, try to deconstruct it, look at the way it's done, look at this, look at that, get into it, put your time into it, put your effort into it and try to do it. And guess what? That might take you 6 months, it might take a year, it could take you 2 or 3. Or you can just do it, and then all of a sudden you're going to know exactly what to do, and you're going to save yourself that years of frustration, years of time, years of stress. So the value of buying the product or service far outstrips the pain of not buying the product or service. So we need to be able to sell the value. What value? What is it actually? Why is it value to someone to buy your product or service? Why is it valuable to somebody? And I think that once you believe in your product so much that it's going to really, really help somebody, and you are able to communicate that value to somebody, you'll find that a lot more people buy, a lot of people. And, I always remember, like, a lot of people in relationship coaching said to me, it's difficult to sell relationship coaching. Well, how's it difficult? You've got somebody that's sitting at home lonely every night because they're not in a relationship. And all you simply need to say to them is, look, what is it worth to you to go and find the man or the woman of your dreams? What is it worth to you to go home happy? What is it worth to you to be able to go out when we can at the weekends and have a lovely time with people? What would it be worth to you to actually spend a night in and be relaxed? What would it be worth to you if you had the ideal partner that made you feel safe and secure and you were super happy? What would that be worth to you? Well, the answer is it'll be priceless. Well, what does the 5K fee come into if you're going to deliver a result, which is you're going to find someone they're going to be happy with? It's neither here nor there. It's worth more to them. And this is about selling the value. It's worth more to them, that relationship, than the amount of fear it is to go and actually get it, right? And that comes down to every product or service. You could tell me whatever it is you do, and I would be able to find the value of what you do for somebody and describe it in such a way that people would feel it is an absolute no-brainer for them to go and buy your product or service. And that is where you need to get to when it comes to selling the value. So let's make sure we know how to sell ourselves, we know how to sell our company, we know how to sell our product, and we know how to sell the value of our deal. And if we get that in place, then we're going to start to get some much, much better results. And that's number 9. Okay, so you got a lot of people. Got Dan Moses, hey buddy, how you doing? We've got Lana saying results, got Rebecca saying results, good stuff. Loads of people comments. Good to see everybody on the line this evening. Okay, so let's get to number 10. Okay, which is, would you like some tips before I move on to number 10, where we're at from a time perspective, see how we're doing. Would you like a couple of tips on how to sell yourself? And would you like a couple of tips on how to sell your company and sell your product and selling the deal? Or would you like me to get straight into number 10? Let me know in the comments and I will go off. So Susan still need to figure out the value. If you'd like some extra tips on selling yourself, selling the company, selling the product, selling the value, I'll start on that. If not, I'm going to move on to number 10. So Christina's saying yes. Christina, you always say yes, which is great, which is awesome. You're awesome. And actually, you're the reason we're doing tonight. So because you, yeah, it's your plan, please. Okay. So here's a few quick ones on selling yourself, right? Very few quick ones on selling yourself. First one, always take the call, okay? Always take the call where possible. Have an availability where you can take the call when it comes in. You can take the message when it comes in. Being available for somebody and being there for them is a great indicator that when they buy your product or service, you're still going to be there for them, right? So we want to always take the call. We want to have mobile I email this person. If I had a mobile phone, that person had a mobile phone, I swear to God, I'd bought it already. That is the absolute result, okay? But because I hasn't got a mobile phone, I can't get quick answers. I can't get quick questions done, which makes it more difficult for me to be able to get through to people. So you want to have that mobile availability. You want to make sure that you greet everybody. You want to be smiley all the time. You want to be super a way of when you walk into a room, people know you're there because you're smiling, you're open, you've got good body language. You always make sure you go out over and above. You want to create that wow service. Really start to look at rapport building. How do you build rapport with people? Another really good way of selling yourself is to become more organized, okay? People don't like buying off people that are organized, that are not organized. If you are organized and you remember things and you remember clients and you remember details and you remember what they're working on, you remember what they're doing, they're going to buy into you a ton more than if you don't. So you want to up your levels of organization. That's really, really important if you're going to be selling yourself more. You need to start showing your successes. You need to start showing why it is you're successful and the things that you do are successful. And this is branding and selling yourself, right? Is because this is a reality. You've got two businesses. One's a business winner, one's an award winner, one's not an award winner. Which one are you buying? You're buying the award winner. Okay. So if you've got magazine articles about you, you've got things that you've won, awards that you've won, you need to start showing this. You need to show people your expertise, and you will actually attract a higher level client if you've got a higher level brand. Another really good way of selling yourself is take yourself out of it and be super interested in the person. People remember people that are interested in them. That's really, really important. So be interested in people, ask lots and lots of questions, and make sure you always write notes when you're with people as well. Just some quick tips there for selling yourself. When it comes to selling your company, you've got to look at making sure you understand your company's and discuss your company's growth. If people think you're growing, they want to be a part of something. So you've got to talk about your company's growth. You've got to compliment your colleagues or the people you work with. And you'll talk about why they're great because it adds value to your company. It shows you're not just a one-man band. The people you're working with are awesome as well. Okay, you've got to discuss what your values are, what your culture is. You can actually discuss your after sales process is another thing. And another good way of selling your company is never to criticize any other people's companies, only focus on your company, only focus on what you do. You never ever, I don't think anyone would ever hear me saying bad stuff about anyone. I just don't. I only focus on what I'm doing, and that comes back to focusing on that competition. So some good ways to sell the company. Some good ways to sell the product is, handle the product with care. Know your product inside and out, know what results your product gets for people. That's really, really important as well. Use reviews, use testimonials, get people to actually physically start using the products is another important thing when you're selling the products. There's just a few tips there. And then when it comes to selling the deal, get used to understanding how to break down the value of a deal and actually break it down in numbers. What's somebody going to get back? What are they going to save? What are they going to gain? Get used to doing that. Also, you can look at people's upcoming costs, different costs that they've got coming up, and you can show them a way of making savings is a good way. You can do stack settings where you actually show them in a stack all of the different types of things that they're going to get in terms of value, and then give them the actual value of the product or service they're going to buy. So it's a good ways to sell the deal. Okay, so we're getting to number 10 now. Have you been enjoying it this evening? If you are, so Christine's saying I'm honoured, but it's my pleasure. I'm saying learning from the best, absolutely. Yeah, you know it. I am the best. Good stuff. I'm going to get into number 10 now, everybody. So if you enjoyed it so far, put it in the comments you've enjoyed it. If you want me to do some more stuff like this, I'm happy to do it, as long as I know everyone's enjoying it and everybody's getting lots of value from it. So number 10 is, of course, you've got to help the client to make the decision. Okay. And this is the thing, closing should be the easiest thing to do in the world. Why should it be the easiest thing to do in the world? Is because if you follow the way that I'm teaching, the way that we're discussing, obviously we're only going on we're not going into huge depth tonight. We're not going advanced, but what we are looking at is we're really looking at what I call long sell, short close. Okay. Long sell means that you really build the relationship, you understand the client's needs, you qualify what they want properly, and you do it in such a way that you overcome the objections through the process, that when it comes to closing the deal, the client should be asking you, how do I go ahead? What's the next step? How do I pay? How do I get enrolled? Right? The close shouldn't be any more difficult than, right, okay, let's get you started, and we'll get the paperwork over, or, you know, what are your card details? Let's get it done. Right? You just need to make closing just needs to become a very, very simple thing. The close should be a seamless transaction from the actual sale itself. It shouldn't be, like, I don't believe in hard closing at all. The way, if you're a very good salesperson, it becomes very natural for the client to say yes at the end of the transaction. Very, very, very simple for them to say yes, because you've overcome any objections, you've helped them, you've listened to what they need, you discovered what they need, you know the product's a good fit for them, so of course they're going to say yes. The closing is just a natural thing that happens next, okay? And the thing that I want to say is, for people that are afraid of closing, if you don't help the client to make the decision, somebody else will. And guess what? If you really are an A player and you really are good at what you do and you add a lot of value with what you do, okay, then why on earth would you want somebody else to go and get your client? Why on earth would you want somebody else to go and get the business? Because you're actually really letting that client down by letting them go to someone else. You're letting the client down. Because if you're that good at what you do, then that client should be buying your product and service, not anybody else's, right? And it's up to you. It's your obligation to ask for the business. It's your obligation to close the deal, because of what you do is that good that if they go elsewhere, they're not going to get the same level, okay? That's super important, okay? Because you don't want people buying inferior products or services elsewhere just because you're afraid to ask for the business. I'm sure you'd all agree. Put it in the comments if you agree, okay? And then do something about it, right? And who have you got right now that you've been working with that you haven't asked for the business? Who have you got right now that you've not made that phone call and closed that deal, or, you know, sent that email, sent that message? Who have you got? All right, it's time to do it. Do something productive from listening to this training tonight. Go and close some business, right? Go and follow some people up. Go and make some things happen. And then let me know in the comments that you actually did. Maybe this is a little push you needed. You know, maybe this will help you to go and close some business and get some better results, okay? The other thing I want to say to you, if you don't close the business, a lot of the time that relationship's going to end. And if that relationship ends and you don't get the business, more than likely that client isn't going to come back. And if that client doesn't come back, you've lost the business because of your inability and your confidence to close the deal. So literally start asking those closing questions, make it happen, and your sales results are going to go up and you're going to do a lot better very, very quickly. So I'm going to have a quick look before we get to the point we're going to finish up. Alana saying, big good, thank you. Well, it's absolutely my pleasure. If you enjoyed it this evening, put it in the comments. Let me know you've enjoyed it. And I'm just going to tell you about one other bit. We've got one other thing to mention, and then we're going to finish off. So last thing to mention this evening is we've got how to build a coaching-based business coming up next week. Anybody that wants to understand how to start going out and building a business that helps people and that helps them to get results, you want to be on this. It's going to be awesome. I think it'd be really, really good for everybody. I'm going to put the link in the comments for you so you can go and get access to that and get yourself registered. I really say to you, every single one of you should be on it. It's going to be really, really good training. Doesn't matter if you're a client already, you're not a client. I think it'd be super valuable. So as soon as I've finished here, I'm going to put it in the comments for you. Click the link, get yourself registered for the webinar, come and join us on it. I think you get a lot of value out, and hopefully you've really enjoyed this evening. And if you have, put it in the comments, let me know. All that love motivates me to do more, yeah? Okay, everyone. Right, so I'm going to finish up there. Thank you very much, everybody. Hopefully you've enjoyed that this evening, whatever it is you've been doing. And let me know what other topics you want to look at. If there's anything that you need help on in your business, we want to use the group to help as many people as possible. So if there's anything you need help on, please do let me know, and we can do some more subjects. We can help you to, do some more content sessions for you. And I look forward to catching up with everybody soon. I'm going to put that link in, so revisit the comments in a couple of minutes and get yourself registered for that webinar. Thanks, everybody.